All right, we're live. That was quick. It just instantly went live.
Yeah.
The internet's like us today.
Yep. So I mentioned it before the show. I want to be a pig farmer.
Oh no.
That's funny you should say that. I actually had a coworker years ago who left tech to be literally a pig farmer.
That was always the way of saying, life as entrepreneur or freelancer sucks.
Yes.
I want to quit is kind of the thing, and we all have those days, and my day was yesterday. Yay for me.
So what happened? What's the what makes you want to
be a pig farmer?
Yeah, I was trying to think of like something that pig farmers do, but I don't know if they do breeding. It's like if you're like a cow or like a sheep farmer, you might I don't know.
The idea is I wouldn't mind being up to my knees in shit over what I'm dealing with these days.
Oh, okay.
So is it something ridiculously stupid like hiring somebody to produce a course for you and having it turn out that person pirated it from somebody else and you get called out on it and have to correct the situation?
I mean, not
that would ever happen. Just a fantastical idea.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
That's true. Ridiculous. Could be worse. Could be worse. I could be John.
Wait. Hold on. Wait. John is wearing wired headphones and Josh has AirPods. What's
Yes. Well, I've had the AirPods for a long time. I've had them for a long time and I like them. You
didn't just will them into existence this last week or something?
I didn't. No, I was having trouble with them before where I tried to use them with the computer and the sound quality was so bad that I could barely understand people. Right. But now, for this, I think it might have been like Skype or something that I was trying to use, and I think it was like an application-specific issue. So they sound a little tinny for this, but not too bad.
And my issue was that I'm using a PC, not a Mac. So while the AirPods are great, and I'm using them like crazy with my iPhone, it's I have to switch it. I have to connect them on Bluetooth on the PC. So I'm so lazy that I can't bring up the Bluetooth settings and do that. Nice. So yeah,
that works. All right, yeah. Chuck.
No, it's okay. And I'm sorry to take over the show early, but I've just been frustrated for a few days. Anyway, so my 100K month in May. Yeah, I've made like 0 sales, and I am super frustrated with it. And I got a big check at the beginning of April, and about half of that went to taxes. And yeah, I should have just worked out some kind of payment plan or something. This would have helped my cash flow. But anyway, so I'm running out of money pretty fast, and that's also frustrating and puts me in that mindset of, oh crap, I gotta figure this out, and that makes me mad because I don't want to do anything desperate, right? But I might have to do something desperate. So
man, those are words that I do not like to hear from anyone in my vicinity.
I know, right? So anyway, it's just really frustrating. I've got a couple of proposals out with sponsors, potential sponsors, and I'll probably have one of them land next week. So it's not as terrible as it feels. But yeah, I was really frustrated last night. I also got an email, and I'm not going to talk about who this is, but I got an email from a former sponsor because I reached out to all of them too. And, I was like, hey, do you have any interest in sponsoring the shows? And I had reached out to him in April as well. And so I was mostly just following up. Because in April, he emailed me back and said, hey, you kind of blew it. And, so we're just going to spend our ad money somewhere else. And so I followed up again, and I was like, well, hey, look, if you don't feel like you got your money's worth, I want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to, make it right, regardless of whether or not you come back. For me, it's an integrity thing. And when I say that, it feels a little bit selfish, right? I'm going to do this for you so I feel better. But at the same time, I really want them to feel like they got what they paid for. So
Right.
anyway, so I got the email back yesterday evening, and it basically said, I'm going to tell you this because you're being persistent. Yay me! But basically, he broke things down to where he was like, he basically said that he felt like I had ripped him off to the tune of 20 grand, and
Ooh.
some of it was that he had sponsored me converting one of the shows over to YouTube. So I had run FFmpeg and exported videos, and when I put it up, then I used the, what do they call them, the call out system, whatever it is,
Annotations,
annotations to link back to their website.
Mhm.
And he's like that never happened, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that happened. So I actually went and checked, and they're there.
Mhm.
And they've been there the whole time. So I emailed them back, and I basically said, look, he also pointed out that their ads hadn't been run in the month of March at all. And then he was also frustrated because he felt like the my whatever stories, that also started coming out on the feed back in February. He's like, you released way more of those than you released of the other shows. And so I also had to go check on that. And it turned out that no, I released one of those every week, just like I did with the other show. So anyway, and then I had also given this person a really deep discount in January.
Josh is fiercely taking notes, by the way, while you're saying this. I know.
Well, I mean, a lot of times that when you give someone a big discount like that, that's often the root of of problems.
Perception is everything.
Yes.
Mhm.
And that's ultimately where it came down to. I mean, we screwed up. There's no doubt about that. Their ads didn't go in March. Of course, that was right around when I was switching podcast editors and getting Shandy up to speed to manage the sponsorships and things. So, I mean, it's not me personally. I didn't necessarily screw it up, but it's my job to make sure that he gets his ads in the shows. So I screwed it up, if that makes sense. But yeah, so I feel like it's not as bad as he thinks it is, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. But yeah, so I basically said, look, if you want to run some ads, basically over the next quarter, we'll run them for free.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, this isn't a, let us win your business back. This is a, you paid us for something and let's make sure that you get it.
Right.
And then if you still feel like, I just don't trust you guys to do what you say you're going to do, then, that's fine. But at least then you've gotten what you put your money down for.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then, there were a few other things. Basically, so he got in January pretty much a 50% discount. And he had been the top billed sponsor for the show that he was on. And so he wasn't at the start of the show starting in January. And I thought because we had discussed it on a Skype call or Hangout or something. And I thought I had told him, if you get a 50% discount, you don't get the front spot anymore. But he was also upset that, we had shuffled his ads further back in the episode. Regardless of whether or not I actually said that, again, it's still my fault. It was a communication issue, and I should have written it down and emailed him and made sure that it was like, hey, look, just so that we're absolutely clear, you understand that this is the case.
Yep. Yeah, but that's the perception is everything. Like I said, like managing expectations issue. I think that's where the reporting, which is kind of funny because when Josh did that question to the thing that frustrates sponsors most, right? It was like not having the information.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a quick win for you as well, is to put together a system where you're reporting to the sponsors what's happening with your, because it almost seems like even with two things. One, it would manage expectations and perceptions, because if you have a report that goes out that says, okay, these are the annotations, they went into YouTube videos, this is how many episodes went out, right? So one, it would just set that so that the perception is correct and they're getting the information. And then two, you would have caught the March one, because
Right.
that process would have said, oh, whoops, we don't have March. And then when someone was creating that report, and then that would have, so that's probably a good thing. It's funny because when we first, I was a little resistant to, like, I was like, do we really need to report all this stuff to, like, which episodes and stuff? But now I'm like 100% sold on that, because that would have probably solved that. I'm so good at my vision. My hindsight vision is like totally 2020. You got to appreciate that, right? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. You know?
Yeah,
Nobody has ever had a good idea afterwards.
That course was totally pirated. I knew it the whole time.
but yeah. So, and I like that idea too, where I'll probably just have Eric send me a note with the timestamps of where the sponsors went in. And that way, Shandy can go from there when it releases and just send them a quick email and say, hey, your sponsorship ad went out in this episode and it's at this timestamp. And then we can email them 4 to 6 weeks later and say, so far that episode has gotten so many downloads.
Yep.
I'll say one more thing about the pig farming, though, which I didn't say at the time, but I don't know. I want to see how it's going to work out so that I could say that I'm right or wrong. No. I've said it before, though. I think the 100K goal, I think having a monetary goal is a bad idea. I think it's a good target, but goals need to be things that you have 100% control over. So, I think targets are great to say, like, because we've got targets as simple. I mean, we want to do 50K a month, or get up to 100K a month, but the goal needs to be something that's like, okay, I'm going to reach out to 100 sponsors this month, right? Or because that's a goal that you can achieve, because you can knock that down and you have 100% control over that. Or even like all the time when I'm coaching people on the fitness side, what I tell them is like, okay, let's make your goal. You're going to, you're going to run so many times, or you're going to lift so many times, or you're going to eat so many calories. That's your goal. Your goal isn't to lose the 5 pounds, right? That's the target. We're hoping to get there, but the goal is the thing that you can absolutely achieve. Because at the end of the day, when you hit your goal or not hit your goal, or the end of the month, you want to say, did I do it or did I not? Right. And if the goal is something that was within your power because you had direct control, those are the things that you're supposed to do, and you didn't do it, shame on you, bad on you. But if it wasn't within your power, then you may have done everything, and you may, like, fate is a fickle bitch. Like she decides what she's going to give you, right? And you don't get to decide, right? For her, you only get to decide what actions you take. So I think it's really, really important to make sure that your goal is always something actionable that you have 100% control over, even though you've got, it's good. The target is like, okay, I want to get to $100,000 a month. So here, that informs what the goals should be. That should probably get you there, but it can never be the goal, because it puts so much pressure on you. And then like you're focusing on the result instead of trusting the process. And that's But so again, hindsight 2020. I mean, this is what you guys pay for, right? It's like I would just dispense the wisdom after the event has occurred, like nobody's business.
Yeah. Well, one thing too that Jamie, my business coach, pointed out was that because I posted on Facebook because I was just so frustrated, and she basically said, "Well, you're sowing a lot of seeds." So how did that go, right? And it's like, well, yeah, I've reached out to probably a couple hundred people on LinkedIn, I being Shandy and Gerald. And then, I've put them into blue tick, and I probably got 20 or so people going through the sequence right now of, hey, we connected on LinkedIn, let's talk. And I've got a few of those that I've actually, managed to start exchanging emails with and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of this is just the fact that it's taking a little bit longer on the sales cycle and the connecting with people and all of that kind of thing. And so, yeah, I'm making forward progress. It's just not happening as quickly as I want to.
Right.
Hey, Chuck, real quick side note here. I just looked at your LinkedIn profile. You need to totally rework this.
Okay.
You need to give yourself a title of, if you look at, I've started to do this on my LinkedIn profile. If you're going to be reaching out to people about sponsorships, then your title and stuff and your bio and your current jobs and everything need to talk about how you provide companies with help on sponsorships and
Oh
reaching
yeah,
their customers.
no, that makes sense.
You want people when they connect, like the initial connection, you want them to go, huh, maybe this guy could help me. Like you want them to start thinking that right away when they see your profile. So
that's a really good idea.
yep, whenever you do LinkedIn outreach, your profile needs to be like, I am the solution to your problems.
Mhm.
Like you need to think about it from their perspective. And, so if you're a freelance developer, then, then you're talking about being a freelance developer. You're not talking about your, I don't know, your startup that you're starting or something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I interrupted John.
Oh no, I don't even remember what I was going to say. I could just monologue all day, so always interrupt me.
Chuck, I think the goal thing, to piggyback off of what John was saying, the benefit of those types of big goals, I find, is like it forces you to think in new ways and think, maybe ask questions you wouldn't have asked otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, every time I get too wrapped up in the goal, the target, it's just disaster. So.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that it made me sit down and think about, okay, how am I going to do this?
Yep.
And from there it basically became a it was okay, well, I'm going to do these things, and it just turned out that we got off to a slow start. Because the first 2 weeks in May, I had trouble getting these folks onto my LinkedIn account, and I had a couple of fires to fight, so I couldn't just go do some of it myself. And so once we actually got kind of the train going, I mean, now we're making forward progress. We're reaching a whole bunch of people that I never even dreamed about reaching.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, at this point, maybe I'll have a 50 or 60K June and another 50 or 60K July. I mean, that's not out of the question at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just getting the rest of this together just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the other problem you have is that you have a sales cycle on your product that can't be accelerated, right? I mean, a corporate sponsorship is going to take 30 to 60 days, or 30 to 90 days, probably minimum.
It depends. I've had some that have come through in a week.
Yeah.
But usually they're smaller companies with a big enough budget to afford it. And, they're just like, hey, let's just blast all these people. But yeah, with the larger the company, I find the longer the sales cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the big problems too with the whole, like, the goal approach of the monetary, the things that you can't control, is sometimes it puts you in the situation where you force things as well, because you feel like you've got to hit this thing, and it's like if you're trusting the process, if you're breaking it down and your goals are the things that the steps you're going to take, you're logically taking the right steps that will move you. Like in this example, I think it's really good because some of these things, like so it's the comparison between, like, if you know that you have to get 100K this month, when you make contact with the sponsor, you might force the relationship forward. You might be super aggressive and not waiting for opportunity, right? Not taking the steps, the nurturing that would have a higher chance of success, versus if you know that, okay, that this is what I need to do, these are my goals, or the steps I need to take, then you're more likely to take the right action, as opposed to I think that's the thing, is like if you force out, timing is everything, right? If you force opportunities, they end up blowing up. So yeah, but you've and the other thing is
that we have any experience with that lately.
Yeah, lesson learned, right? But you've also
learned.
Yeah. You've made good progress for sure, right? That's the thing. It's like right now you should be patting yourself on the back, but because you made the goal something that you can't control, you're actually getting down on yourself and feeling bad. Whereas you actually made really good progress. Like this was a good month for you, at least from my perception of what you've done. Like you've done a whole bunch of things that are moving the ball forward that you should be proud of and happy about. This was sort of the same thing like when I transitioned to Pomodoro as opposed to to-do list. It was the same thing. It's like, because I couldn't control the to-do list, but I could control whether I did 8 Pomodori in a day, and that I could pat myself on the back if I did that. And that's, so here, Chuck. Here you go.
Yeah.
Good job.
Well, and I think you're right in a lot of ways. It's just the immediate problem of looking at the bank account and going, if I don't get money soon, I'm going to be in trouble. And then also just realizing, oh my gosh, this is taking way longer than I wanted it to. I would have been over the moon if I had made the 100K goal, but I'm not beating myself up over that per se, as much as, I really wanted to hit somewhere near that target, and I have literally made 0 sales.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the frustration.
But did you do, the question always has to come down to, did you do what you're supposed to do in order to, okay, then that's, I mean, at any given time, right? This is like just the pressure release valve for life is at any given time, we can only do what we know in our best knowledge to do and are capable of doing. That's at any time. So, I mean, it's not like a, give yourself a break, like don't ever come down on yourself and don't ever be hard on yourself. But it's at any given time, given your knowledge, given what you're capable of doing, you can only do that. And so, we sometimes feel like we want to control these things that are outside of our control. And literally, I mean, if you're what you're telling me, right? Like logically, emotionally, it feels like, oh, I should have done more. But logically, right? If you think about this, you did what you could do, right? You had the knowledge, like you didn't have other knowledge, right? It's not like, right? You had with the knowledge that you had, you made a plan, you did the plan, you got results. Now now it's up to you to modify and to figure out, okay, well, how am I going to change the steps? How am I iterating on this process? What could go better, right? And then with that new knowledge, then you execute those new steps. But that's got to be the directive. That's got to be the goal, so that you keep the motivation, because that's, because that's what you can control. That's what you absolutely can control. And that's the best that anyone can do, or we can ask of anyone at any given time in life. So that's like the ultimate pressure valve. And I'm only saying this because I have to open this pressure valve for myself all the time. It's like, look, did you do what you're capable of doing based on the best knowledge that you had? So, okay. So things got fucked up a little bit. Okay, well, that's you couldn't have done better than that, but now you can going forward, because now you've gained knowledge and experience. So so don't worry too much about that.
Yeah, I understand that, and I think it was just kind of a combination of that, and then the fact that I'm looking at my bank account and going, how much, how long, how far is this money going to go before I'm in trouble?
Yep.
And, as much as it's okay, well, I feel like I did everything I could, that's not going to fill up my bank account.
No,
at
but
least not necessarily before I need the money. So
now you need a good plan of what to do going forward that you'll execute going forward, and that based on the constraints that you have.
Yep. Yeah. And, I have a few things that I'm working on that I realized, if I get these couple of things done, then I can probably open up a couple of other avenues for money to come in. And I mean, even if it's just a few, because I mean, if I get just maybe $1,000 over the next week, that pays for, a bunch of stuff that I have to cover over the next week. And then that gives it another week for these sponsors to come through.
You may have already done this, but what if you went back to all of your existing sponsors, everyone who's sponsored with you in the past, except maybe that guy that you ripped off for 20K.
I didn't rip him off for 20K.
I know. Just twisting the knife there, little Chuck.
That's true.
What if you went back to all of them and said, "Hey, I've got X spots open, and I'm coming up on some kind of deadline, and I want to sell. I want to sell Y spots and." By basically just make them a time sensitive offer. Guarantee you that if you do that, you will shake something loose.
Yeah. So what? Just offer them a discount or some?
Or some make it. I mean, like you could offer them like, hey, I've got. I'm experimenting with some variations of this, but like one thing would be like, hey, I've got these 2 slots. I've got like an extra slot for Ruby Rogues in July, and I also have this spot in this other thing, and it's going to go to waste if I don't do something with it right now. So if the first person to pay for this spot on Ruby Rogues gets the other spot too. So that way you don't have to do a discount, right?
Oh yeah, that would be interesting.
So you could do you can do deals without discounts.
Yeah, I like that because like my JS story and my Ruby story, I just spun those finally off into their own feed.
Okay.
And so I could turn around and do that, right? Where it's, hey, you know, if you sponsor Ruby Rogues, you get one on.
Yeah, we're right now in a situation where we have more inventory than we have sponsors. So rather than discounting, one of the things I'm trying is offering like extra, stuff that would go to waste anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They get more bang for their buck, but they don't get an actual discount.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I guarantee you, if you did that on Monday or Tuesday of next week, you'd get something by the end of the week.
That's true. Yeah, if I sent that email on Monday and said, "Hey, look, you got to buy it by Friday."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you're in a cash situation, that's something to keep in your back pocket. I would. Yeah, that's just one of those things. I bet you could shake 5 or 10K loose with something like that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It's like a Slack adjuster.
Yep. One other thing that I did that I don't know if I've mentioned on the show is I went back to quarterly and yearly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not doing per episode anymore. Occasionally I get people saying, well, can we just try it for 3 episodes? And I've been telling them no, because 3 episodes isn't enough to get people engaged enough to actually take action. And so it's not worth it to me, because then they won't come back because they feel like, my channel's a dud.
Right.
And so I'd rather just tell them, look, come back when you can afford at least, 7 or 8 episodes.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's been kind of tricky too, because I've turned a couple of sponsors away.
You might be able to use that to your advantage and say, look, because kind of going back to the special offer thing that I just mentioned, like if you've got, say you lose a sponsor, or anytime you have like something happen where you've got inventory that opens up, gives you the opportunity to do this, right? I've got, look, I was normally I only sell this by the quarter. I had a sponsor drop out, and I've got a month of JavaScript Jabber available.
Right.
First come, first serve. Boom.
Yep.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Cool.
I feel better now. Thanks,
all right.
guys.
Chuck, you've done a lot of really good stuff. I think the this funnel that you're putting together is really going to pay off in the long term.
I think it is too. It's just that I need some of the payoff in the short term, and I think that's where I kind of got my
Well, yeah. Keep in mind, like the easiest place to get money is from people that have already given you money. So like I had that email that I think I talked about this a few weeks ago, where John was like pestering me to follow up with somebody who they'd booked a space in our newsletter. They'd emailed me and told me how awesome it was and how they got great results. And then I was like procrastinating on following up with them. Yeah. And then I did, and they booked a whole quarter. It was the easiest money I've made in months. All I had to do was send one email. So,
yep. No, that makes total sense. The other thing is I'm also coming up on renewals for my current sponsors.
Yeah.
So I can also just send that email out and do the same offer, right? Where it's, hey, look, you're probably going to renew anyway, but if you renew this week, then you'll get that spot on my Angular story or whatever.
Yep.
Yep. That's good.
Yep. And also you have email. You can also use your email newsletter as possibly additional space.
Yeah, that's true.
We make it super easy. Like for us, I have a template that I use in Drip. That's for all the weekly newsletters. So I can go in and just like edit the HTML of that one template, and I automatically have the sponsor updates going out in all the weekly emails. So I don't think you're selling that space now, but you could use it as an extra incentive.
Yeah, I could. I'm not using that space, but I definitely could. And I've kind of opened it up as kind of an option for, because I've been asking people now, it's like, look, how many conversions or visits or whatever do you are you looking to get with this money? And then, basically that, I get a little bit of the, well, what if this doesn't work out? And it's like, well, then we'll pull out the mailing list and, do another webinar and whatever it takes to make sure that you're getting what you're paying for in results, not just in, oh, here we go, here's ad space.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, yeah.
That positioning is excellent. And that's going to pay off as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, again, I want to make sure that people are getting the results that they're paying for. It's not just about, oh, let's fill some space in the podcast.
So I had a fun adventure yesterday, spending more money on clothes than I've ever spent in my life. Oh, I gotta see. I brought this prop so you can see my glasses.
Oh, you look so different with those glasses on.
Yeah, right. So no, I went shopping with an image consultant yesterday. So I hired an image consultant in order to take things to the next level with Simple Programmer. Eventually I'm prepping for us to eventually go mainstream instead of just the development crowd. And one of the things that I identified that I need to do is have a wider appeal to a wider audience, which means that I can't wear tank tops all the time in my videos and be just a muscle-bound freak. So, right. So I've said, okay, well, it's kind of funny because I definitely, with my coaching, coach guys on image and even clothes and style and marketing yourself, right? The whole persona and personal branding, but you can't see your own, right? So I went out and hired an expert, and fairly expensive, like a $300 an hour expert, and went and she gave me some really good advice just on positioning, direction, things like that I couldn't see for myself. But then we went shopping, and oh my Lord, this is it's insane how expensive something. I bought a $600 pair of shoes, right? So like it's insane how much that some clothes can cost, like $200 shirts. Like I don't know how much I spent on it, but it is a business expense, so that's a good thing. But
it's like shopping in Canada. Everything's on sale, right? It's like when you have that business credit card, everything's 30%
exactly
off.
Everything's on sale, right? It's like 30% off. But amazingly, though, I found you'll probably be interested in this, Josh. Jeans that actually fit me, right? Because if you've got bigger thighs, like if you do any kind of lifting, you have trouble with jeans. But they're actually like stretchy kind of jeans. And it was from this store called like Seven for the Earth or something.
John,
like
I believe it's called sweatpants.
No, they're the jeans. See, now you're making me show my ass on camera. Something I've avoided on Entre Programmers. Oh.
The table's slowly lowering down.
So you can't. Oh, see, I gotta like tilt this down. All right.
It's getting real now, man.
All right, here we go. These are jeans.
Love it.
Those are jeans. Okay. They might be a little stretchy, but they're jeans.
Are those the pajama pants that I saw on TV ads a while back?
Now all he needs is a Snuggie.
Yeah. As John destroys his office to show off his butt.
I got a onesie. You should see my onesie. But I got some nice stuff that definitely set me back, a couple grand. But now I've got a wardrobe that will last like 5 or 6 years, and it's upgraded. And I'm banned from wearing tank tops, so I'm throwing out all my tank tops. No more tank tops, and just wear nice stuff. But I found like this sweater that I got is actually better than a tank top. Like the image consultant had to convince me to be like, look, do you actually look better in that? You look more muscular in that than you do in an actual tank top, because that's and it looks classy as opposed to looking like you're. I think she did. I won't repeat it here because I already have gotten into trouble. But I believe that she compared me to definitely some kind of a racial, class of citizen when I wore tank tops. So yeah. So
Hey, he said it, not you, right?
it was, it wasn't. But that was the perception. So did definitely want to avoid that perception. So yeah, so it was really interesting though. I mean, it was just interesting just to see, and just if you've never gone, I mean, I've never spent $200 on a shirt before, but when you spend $200 on a shirt, the shirt, there is a huge difference in the way that the shirt feels, the way that the shirt looks, and just the perception that it creates, and also the way that the salespeople treat you. But but it was very interesting experience just seeing, and just like she knew exactly what clothes to get. First she basically was like, she didn't even ask me what size. We went into a store, very first store that she went to. I've always had problems getting jeans, right? We went to the very first store, and then she's like, she tells the sales lady, she didn't ask me what my waist size was. She's like, get him a 33, and I try on the pants, they fit perfectly. Like that was instant.
Nice.
So she knows what she's doing. So there'll be some shifts, some changes in a lot of things. Actually, Josh, we have to change the headshot on the book because it's not good. But she did take another headshot, and I'm probably going to get some professional ones done. But we can just swap out that image on the book. So I'll show you that a much better headshot. But
it's good we didn't go with the tank top shot.
Yeah, that.
That was, we were testing, one of the covers we were testing on Facebook was John in a tank top, like pointing to the title. It was pretty, we didn't think it would win. It was one of those, we got to test this just to see kind of things. But
yeah,
but it was definitely, I mean, I'm a pretty damn frugal guy, right? Like for the most part, like, I still have a 13-year-old Toyota Corolla. Like I don't like spend ridiculous amounts of money on clothing, but but I think it is necessary in order to attract a higher clientele, to lift the brand going mainstream. So we'll see what happens. But it was definitely scary swiping that credit card for for ridiculous amounts of money that I would never spend on clothing. But like Josh said, I guess it's a discount because it's a business expense. But it was definitely interesting. It was just like a totally. It definitely opened my eyes to, because I could see the difference. Like everything I was putting on at the higher end brands, like they were all cut, form fitting. Like I looked so much better than the Target shirt or this Express shirt. It was you didn't I didn't realize why something would cost that much more. Not that everything that costs more is necessarily worth it, but I'm happy. I spent a lot of money, but I'm happy with the result. So I still have to do a few things. I still need to get like a sports jacket and some ties and things like that. And I still have to do the hairstyle. I'm going to probably go with a more contemporary style, just long on top and like short on the sides. Kind of what I'm doing now, but yeah. And then one other thing,
on top and long on the sides,
because that's contemporary. Oh, what? Why not short on top and long on the side? Oh, that'd be awesome.
Like mine.
Huh?
Like mine. Mine's short on top and long on the side.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. But I mean, she had some other things too. Like she watched a ton of my videos, and she was like, "See all this background stuff you've got here? That's all distracting from your videos." And as much as I like that stuff, and she's like, "Okay." And then when you've got a bookshelf there, like, yeah, maybe those are your favorite books, but it looks like you don't have very many books. It looks like you're like you're a college kid with not very many books. Like you either need to display like a whole like shelves of books or leather bound books, or so. I'm probably going to eliminate a lot of this background. As much as I like,
going to end up with a whole wall full of fake books that don't open that cost $60.
But again, like I was saying, with perception is everything. So I realized that like if someone turns on your video, and she showed me, she's like, okay, this is what happens when I Google on the internet for you, and she's like, there's pictures of you like wearing tank tops or like with a sword with your shirt off. And she's like, that's like crying, like, look at my muscles. Like it's projecting a lack of confidence instead of confidence. I'm like, oh, I didn't even intentionally, like, that wasn't what my thought process. She's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. That's what perception is everything. And so, and she said, and if I watch your video and the first video I see is you with the Zelda hat and tank top on, right, I'm turning it off. Like, I don't, like, I'm not even hearing your message, like at least a large portion. Now, polarizing, I still think is valuable, but you got to at least give people enough time to hear your message to be polarized. If you're just just turning people off from the get-go, that so she really, like, you know, and I told her I'm going to fight with you, and I fought with her, and she convinced me, and I think it makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to do some work in cleaning up image, going through and seeing what photos are out there of me, the old headshots, delete that stuff, get that all out of there, so that image going forward is consistent with what I want, which. So I welcome your guys' thoughts on that.
John's going to end up doing a 402 gone or whatever that.
412 gone.
Yeah, 412 gone. I'll wake up one day, all the accounts will be gone, everything.
No, it makes sense to me. I mean, you know, it really does come down to what kind of image you want to put out there. And a lot of folks, they don't care. And a lot of folks, yeah, they kind of want to be the goofball tank top guy. And yeah, you know, it's who are you trying to reach and what's going to draw them in? In fact, I just watched a YouTube video the other day, and it was for this. I got a sample. It's the Mighty Mug. I don't know if you guys have seen these.
Oh, nice.
I think that they used to call that the Tommy Tippy cup.
Yeah, it won't tip over. So, you know, but yeah, it was a guy, kind of reminded me of John because he was a little bit loud and you know, was wearing a tank top with his, you know, muscles hanging out the side or whatever. And yeah, you know, it's a little harder to take him seriously because he's just being a goofball, and that's kind of his brand. But you know, if you want to be in there and be the serious business, you know, professional guy, then yeah. It makes sense that you'd have to kind of clean that up. I'm curious though, John. I mean, how many videos do you have out there? Are you gonna edit all those?
No, he's not taking those down.
No, I'm not taking them down. It's just moving forward, right? To create the image, at least at this point, right? So and this is what I was thinking with the whole thing with Simple Programmer, because I've been thinking a lot about like what is the strategy, what is the process of going mainstream if we want to go mainstream, and what it is it's you gain enough mainstream audience and new products, right? So like the next products that we should come out with should be ones that are not for programmers. Like the fitness one will just be a fitness and diet product, right? And I can sell it just as well. There's no reason why. I mean, there's not too many people on YouTube, not to toot my own horn, that have physiques as good as mine that are selling fitness products. So I can hang with the best of them there, in my opinion. But so with that, creating mainstream products, creating more mainstream content, right? And then the idea is once you've built it up. So let's take the programmer audience, which is very small, right? If you take that audience and let's say, you know, like 100,000 YouTube subscribers, and what maybe we have like I don't know, like what do we have, like probably 15,000 or 20,000 customers or so, Josh, that have actually bought.
It's actually more like 5,000 or 6,000.
Oh, really? Okay. So yeah, so it's an even smaller slice of people that have actually bought from us. And now you're creating the mainstream stuff, and you're creating the stuff from everybody, and you're getting the mainstream audience. So now you've got, let's project to the future. You have 1 million YouTube subscribers. 900 of them are the new ones that have nothing to do with programming. You've got 15,000 customers that have bought the non-programming products from you, right? And they're watching your videos. Now you delete all the other stuff. Because now 90% of your business, now it doesn't hurt you, right? If you're just like, what would be the wrong move, at least in my opinion, is to say, okay, we're going mainstream now, so delete all the shit that was programmer specific, and now you've cut off your revenue source, and you haven't made the leap yet, right? To me, it makes more sense to do the transition, and then when you have the bulk of your income, the bulk of your traffic, the bulk of everything coming from the mainstream, then you like cut out the other stuff to go back, clean up, delete videos and things like that. that's at least that's where I'm thinking.
So are you going to change your brand name then from Simple Programmer to Simple Mainstreamer or something?
Well, Simple Programmer. So this is what I'm really. I'd like your guys' opinion on this. I'm thinking Simple Programmer, program your life.
Is that like life hacker kind of? Right.
Sort of.
Where it's not hackers per se. It's hacking your life.
Yeah, because if you think about it, because then we can keep the SP, we can keep the logo, the branding, the videos that say go to simpleprogrammer.com. We've got all that, and then it's just really just transition to Simple Programmer, because programming doesn't necessarily mean programming code. So program your life.
Yep.
Maybe we can get Noah Kagan to help us spend $10 million to buy Simple.com.
Yes.
Is it available? I mean, for sale or?
I don't know.
There you go.
Yeah, but the programming aspect of it is important, and then it's an angle. So then it becomes, instead of Simple Programmer being about programming, it becomes, here's the angle. This guy was a programmer. He's teaching you how to apply analytical and that kind of thought process approach to your life. Right, success here translates to success there. There you go, and it becomes Simple Programmer, like the programming aspect that becomes the origin story instead of the end goal. It's like, everyone has some kind of origin. You hear all the time, like, this Olympic athlete, and then he decided to create a sports drink company based on what he knew from being an Olympic athlete, or whatever the thing is, right? So becomes the origin story, and it's like, okay, you should trust my credibility because I was successful here, and I'm taking these things I learned from the top of the field here and applying it there. All of this is subject to revision and feedback, but that's what I'm thinking right now.
Interesting.
You guys are fucking thrilled with it. Like, yeah, do it.
I'm trying to think through like the implications on it and stuff, but it makes sense to a certain degree. And I mean, it feels like you've been pretty successful in the niche that you're in.
Yeah.
And so part of me is thinking, okay, well, if you abandon the niche and go mainstream, or I don't know if abandon's the right word, but yeah. Then what are the risks there versus just kind of expanding where you're at?
So that's actually exactly what we're not going to do. We are going to continue to expand where we are for now.
Yes.
And then at some point in the next 2 to 3 years, there's just going to be I think there will either be some major event that happens that makes it really obvious, or there's just going to be a spillover to the point where we're like, okay, now's the right time. Like, we're not going to do, it's not going to be like, we'd initially talked about like, okay, starting a new website and a new YouTube channel and everything. And like, that just makes John and I want to like slit our wrists.
Yeah, no, that
lay down under our standing desks and
become pig farmers.
Yeah, become pig farmers. Yeah, so it's got to happen naturally. It's got to happen organically, and it's got to happen in place, like kind of where we are. So.
And then and it's like the content changes. I mean, the content has already changed. Like if you go to my YouTube channel, right, people are not going there to get programming advice, right? I mean, there's some career and advice in programming, but it is 90% self-development content. It's fitness, it's finances, it's the mental game, and that's what people are. That's why we have 100,000 subscribers, almost 100,000 subscribers, is because of that, not because of the programming. So the content has already changed, right, for the most part. But what I see is over time that the content changes, the products change, and then once you've got that that tipping point, then the message changes, because the messaging changes last. It's like, because right now we've got our beam focused on programmers, so all of our marketing efforts, all of our where we're pulling people as programmers, and that's the messaging, right? Because it's like, this is for you, programmer. Right. But the content is personal development. So then at some point you say, okay, switch the beam, boom, it's a wide beam. Now the messaging is program your life, or it's, you know, it's the messaging, the target where we're aiming is not programmers, it's a general audience, but our content is still the same, or that content has evolved for that for that space. So right now we can still target and improve our targeting and expand our tractor beam in the programming space and pull in more of that, because we know that's working for us. But at the same time, as that content's changing, and then when we hit that tipping point, then all of a sudden move the tractor beam to a different target.
Yeah, the only other thing that I can see here as a possible hang up is if you go for a wider audience, I mean, marketing becomes a little trickier or different, because, you know, you're not targeting a specific group and know exactly what their interests are and things like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's where you have to have enough momentum, I believe, right? So in order to, and there'll be some people that will shake out of that, some different, you know, based on their problems of fitness, or, you know, the different problems. But if you have enough momentum, enough of an audience, then you get that automatically. And that's sort of, I mean, that sort of happened with Simple Programmer in general, right? To start with, because Simple Programmer at first was very technical, focused, technical content. But as we built up enough of an audience, like if you were to try and go into the space that we're in now with no audience, if you're casting as broad of a net as soft skills for software developers, you would get murdered. Like you'd have no way. But because initially I had built up enough of an audience, now I can be broad enough to say soft skills. And so what I'm, you know, counting on is the same thing here. Is, well, here's a perfect example. The next book I write will not have anything at all to do with programming. It will be a mainstream personal development book. Probably a lot of the most popular content from YouTube, I'll probably make chapters and build something out of that. And if we launch that book, we're going to sell it to our list, and they will buy the shit out of it, right? Even though it has nothing to do with programming, because that's the content, that's what they want to improve their lives. And so that makes it a successful mainstream product that gets momentum, where it'll go up on the Amazon charts and other people will buy it, and they would never even know that I had anything to do with programming, because they're just seeing it because it's popular.
Right.
So I think that's the tipping point. And so that allows you to expand into the other. I mean, this is all theoretical, of course, but in my mind, you know, I think about this a lot. This is what seems to make the most sense, is you got to reach that point. When you have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, people give you a chance, right? It's like you don't have it, you're more likely to pick up subscribers, you're more likely to have people watch your videos because you've got the social proof, you've got the credibility. And so if that messaging is changed, right? If you think about, like, the YouTube channel just didn't say anything about programming, I mean, you know, code, but it was focused on the life development, people would see they would have the social proof, they'd be likely to subscribe. We wouldn't have to work as hard to, like, pick a niche. I don't want to go back down to the niche level. It's like now it's the concentric circles of expanding.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I can also see Simple Programmer meaning things like, you know, neuro-linguistic programming, or you know, creating a program for your life, or, you know, creating habits, you know, and all of those things kind of fall into, you know, programming your brain instead of programming a computer.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Interesting. It'll be interesting to watch you make this transition.
Zato. Yeah.
Chuck, this is actually something that might be relevant for you at some point with your podcasts too.
I've been thinking that myself.
Like, I mean, you might be able to find some really big podcasts that you could bring into your network that are just run by people that don't really know what they're doing, you know. Actually, one that might be interesting would have overlap would be like sci-fi.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's like fan shows that have really ridiculously huge followings, and they probably don't have any idea how to get money for what they're doing.
That would be interesting. Huh.
You know?
Yeah. I that's interesting. I've thought about doing, and I'm just going to throw this out there because we're almost out of time, and this is really not what the show's about. But I thought about doing like a sci-fi rerun show. And so we would go do like Firefly or Battlestar Galactica or Doctor Who, or, you know, some of these. And we would just go through basically the entire. So like Doctor Who would take us like 2 years, I think. And we went back and did them all, right? All the ones that you can currently find online. but it'd be interesting, right? So it's like, oh wow, you know, back in 1950 or 1960 or whenever they started Doctor Who. But we could also just, you know, interweave it in, right? So it's like, okay, we're going to do a season of Doctor Who and then a season of Battlestar Galactica and then a season of, I mean, Firefly was only one season, you know, but yeah, just kind of run through some of those and let people kind of pick out which shows they want to hear us talk about. And yeah, just kind of, because there's a bunch of geek culture around a lot of those things.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking even like if you find because you've been thinking about buying podcasts, right? Or like, you know, bringing other shows into your network. So
yeah,
that could be one avenue that might be worth exploring. But
yeah, speaking of which, I was supposed to hear about 2 of the shows that I've offered to take over this week, and they're still trying to figure out who the right person is to say yes to that. Because it came through an acquisition, and they're just, I don't think anyone really owns it anymore because it's not
public domain, baby.
So they own the domain, they own the, you know, the websites and stuff like that. So yeah, but their office is within an hour drive of where I live, so I might just drive up there. I'm seriously considering going up there on Tuesday or Wednesday next week and just saying, "Hi, I'm here."
Yeah, do it. I totally.
I'm here for the server. There's a server I'm supposed to pick up.
Yeah,
it's plugged in over there. I'll take it.
Well, I know, you know, because there have been 3 or 4 people on the email, so I could just
show up and charm them in person. You'll have a much better shot because they'll connect you with and then it'll be harder to say no. And they'll also think, man, this guy's not going to go away. He's you know, like, path of least resistance is just to give him the damn shows. Let's get this thing done.
Yep. There was an episode of Parks and Recreation where the guy comes in because they're doing a time capsule for the town, and this guy comes in and he chains himself to the radiator because he wants him to put Twilight in the time capsule. So I'm picturing Chuck. Yeah, no, the books.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm picturing Chuck chaining himself to the radiator there.
There we go. Well, the CEO, I think, has a desk out in the bullpen with everyone else. And so
there
I
you go.
chain myself to his desk. I've been to their office before, so
go for it.
There we go. I could even just joke about that. I thought about chaining myself to this desk right here, but
Derek,
60 seconds, go.
Yeah, no pressure. So I've been actively looking for clients for training opportunities, and I've got 3 or 4 leads going on that front. One of them with a very large corporation that everybody would instantly recognize the name of, but I don't want to say it on air right now because it's not a done deal, and you know, all that kind of stuff.
You're supposed to give us, when you do that, you're supposed to give us like enough information where it's like we know who it is, but you haven't said the name. Like it's an oil company like that rhymes with Flexon.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that in private chat or something.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, so that I talked with that guy last week, which is why I wasn't here last week. I was talking with him, and that went exceedingly well, I think. Now, the guy that I was talking to is an engineering manager. He's basically not high up management in this company, but he's a well-respected manager with a position of authority. And pretty much when he says something needs to happen, it happens. So it's more just a matter of him going through the chains to get to make it happen at this point. His management chain was out of town this week, so I have to wait until Monday to send up a follow-up email with him to remind him to keep things moving, basically. But I'm going to do that on Monday. There's a training company called Accelerate, which I've used them before years ago. I actually have this thumb drive that I'm holding. You can't see it well because of the lighting in my room. But this thumb drive is from 10 plus years ago when I hired them to do training for one of my teams. I've
So
talked.
it's one of those sought after 4 megabyte thumb drives.
Oh yeah, probably like 256.
Yeah,
Four
hang-
times
hang-
the capacity of a floppy disk.
Yes,
Hang on to that thing in case you ever need
Ooh.
that space.
Exactly. But yeah, it's randomly survived countless traversals through different jobs and bags and everything else. It's a sign from the universe, basically, that I'm supposed to be working with them. But they're a good company. I've talked to the CEO several times in the last 10 years, and he's got some pretty good advice for me on things that I need to do to get rolling. And I'm going to be sending him some outlines for training courses. The good news is once I have a solid outline and some material that he can work with, his team does all of the selling, and I don't really have to worry about that aspect of it. So they take a lot of that pressure off of me. The bad news is I'll make, hopefully half of what I would make on my own by going.
But they'll probably
through
also
a company
sell
like
you
this.
for more than you
Well,
might
but
on your own. So.
That's also part of the problem is, I have limited capacity in which I can do this kind of stuff. I can't be flying out every month. Like every
Right.
2 months
Mhm.
for a while might be okay just because of my family needs. We have, special
Right.
needs son and all kinds of things going on where, I mean, half the reason I work at home is because I can easily just go pick my son up like I'm going to do this afternoon. I take my son to therapy on Fridays, and I take my daughter here and my son there, and all these things that I do, that's how our family works, and so I have to accommodate for that while I'm doing these other things. But if I can get a couple of good classes under my belt and get the money rolling in from those, it would help solidify my financial situation. But Watch Me Code is still paying the bills. My client, my healthcare network client, is pretty much done and over. I seriously doubt that I will ever have any hours with them ever again because of the bureaucracy that they have in place. There's several hours worth of ranting and raving about that I could do, but it's not really worth talking about. I'm moving on unless they come to me and say, look, we've approved this many hours already. Here's your paycheck. Please get the work done. Unless we end up in that situation,
Mm-hmm.
they're out of my life at this point. So I am more heavily looking for client work, training, consulting type of work at this point. I've spent the last month basically working on the marketing aspect of Watch Me Code on the products that I do have, and I'm not really seeing a ton of good payoff on that yet. I was telling Josh in Slack yesterday that I'm struggling to get people through my email funnels. So I don't really even have a good idea if the email funnels are working because I'm just having a hard time getting people through them. So I definitely need to focus on the content side of things again. I'm going to do some adjusting to who gets into those funnels as well. One of them being the ES7 course that I have on learning ES7 and Docker. That's something that's kind of universally applicable to my audience, like Josh was saying. So I'm going to adjust that so that everybody that joins my list ends up getting the PDF. And then if you click through to download the PDF, it puts you in the rest of the sales funnel. So there's things like that I need to do. I'm kind of in a similar to Chuck's situation overall where I see all of the work that I've been doing in the last month and I'm not really seeing really good results yet. But unlike Chuck, I do have a little bit of sales to show for. It's not a ton. I think I've brought in probably close to $4,500 this month, which for Watch Me Code is growth. For the last 3 months, I've been averaging about $4,500 a month. Last month, I actually brought in $5,500, which was really nice. But for the last 3-4 months, I've been bringing in $4,500 a month, that's a whole lot better than the $2,500 I was stuck at for the last year and a half. So there's definitely growth and movement there. I need to get the marketing cycles so that they are automatic, and I need to continue to produce products. The screencasts, I haven't recorded a single screencast this year. I think the last screencast I recorded was in December. I've done webinars, I've done ebooks, I've done other things, but I need to get one last screencast course series finished for Docker so that I can finally do the big giant launch of the full Docker course. So there's a lot of things that need to be wrapped up and need to be finished. So I have a lot of work ahead of me. I'm kind of in that same boat as Chuck, though, where I see the work ahead of me, and I know I'm doing the work, but I'm like, man, why haven't I had that big giant success yet?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's a little bit frustrating from that perspective. And if I can hit a couple of training clients, that would help a lot to alleviate the financial pain and keep me floating for a while longer. So that's about it. That's kind of me in a nutshell. You know, I have to say, as John was talking about all of his stuff for the last however long, you know, I had literally nothing to say, because the stuff that you guys are doing, I mean, including Chuck, most of the stuff that you guys are doing is so far beyond where I am in what I'm doing with my business that it would almost be a detriment for me to toss out ideas, because the things that I would think about are stuff that you handled years ago. So it's like, all right, I'm just gonna check my email and, you know, answer a few things while you're talking about that stuff.
Well, honestly, Derek, you know, I appreciate your perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that you know, all of you guys, I appreciate your perspective. So it's not a matter of, you know, I always welcome your opinion, right? Just because, you know, you guys are guys that I trust, that are going to objectively give me a good perspective. Whereas, you know, you always have people in your life that are motivated by different, you know, they want to see you fail because they're jealous. They want to see you succeed because they love you, and they think everything you do is gold, and so they're not giving you, you know, objective feedback. So I trust your perspective, and your perspective is different than mine, and so that's the value. So I definitely don't want you to ever feel like I would say, oh, well, you're not making that much money on so I'm not going to, you know, value what you're saying, because that's certainly not the case. Like I always, you know, welcome your feedback. I'm never thinking it that way. I understand like what you're saying for sure, right. But I just want to make sure that, you know, like I very much appreciate any feedback from you. So
yeah, that's about it for me. I don't have, I mean, I'm kind of just plugging away at things these days. You know, every now and then, actually more frequently recently, I've had the itch to do YouTube videos for my video game channel. So I've uploaded, you know, half a dozen of those in the last couple of weeks, and that's been fun. Since I work at home, you know, I can turn on live Twitch streams in the background and just listen to people talking, and every now and then go check in on it while I'm working on my marketing stuff, because, you know, it's still a struggle for me to write marketing material. And so I'll have 10 minutes of, ooh, right. And then 10 minutes of, so I go through those kinds of cycles, and I can have that kind of stuff on in the background. But that's also been boosting my channel at the same time, because every now and then I'll comment on the Twitch stream, or I'll tweet somebody or whatever. And then yesterday, you know, the game I've been playing recently, Titanfall 2, they have a new DLC coming out next week, and they released the trailer for it yesterday. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Oh, wow, that's a really cool trailer. Maybe I should make a video on this. So I just slapped something together in 10 minutes, uploaded it to YouTube, and it's been the single most successful video I have ever done on this YouTube. Nice. I guess the timing of it must have been absolutely perfect, because it was the brand new trailer for this brand new DLC. I uploaded it approximately 25 hours ago, 24 and a half, 11:42 a.m. yesterday, and it's 12:09 right now. 624 views.
Nice.
The average video I have is around 25 views after, you know, a month or two of being up. So
yeah, well, it makes sense. I mean, people, where did I hear it? I heard a quote that basically was, you know, people don't buy a solution, they buy a better
version of themselves.
And this is kind of the same thing, where it's, you know, it's, I'm already playing this game, blah blah blah, how do I blah blah blah, where here you're tapping into their excitement over something that's coming up. So they're you're tying into the, oh, I'm going to be playing this game. Awesome, cool. What does Derek have to say about it?
Right. And I think the timing of when I got it up, I may have been one of the first people to put up a reaction breakdown video for this trailer, just because I happened to be sitting at my desk looking at YouTube when the parent company Respawn, when they released their trailer video. So I got to see their trailer video with it. I was like within the first 50 people to watch it on their channel.
Nice.
And it was good timing, but it's fun. It's a way for me to continue to hone my skills as a content creator while also relaxing, because I find it to be relaxing instead of stressful, like, oh, business, got to make money. He's like, no, I'm just doing this for fun.
Yep.
All right, should we roll on to the thoughts?
Yeah, I still want to be a pig farmer. No, I honestly, I mean, my thought this week is basically around having this mastermind, right? I mean, just the perspective that I got today, where it was, hey, look, you have made this progress, things are going to work out. And yeah, just recognizing where I'm at and what the options are, and then, just make a plan and get with it. And there's also some just, I guess, release of stress when you get to the point where you talk through something or, complain about something. But overall, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm here for with this group is, when stuff hits the fan, when I'm just totally overwhelmed, I just get a little bit of perspective that, I guess I can't get from some of the other folks that I know, just because they're not in a position where they're trying to make an entrepreneurial venture work. And yeah, it really pays off. The other thing is that, just the couple of offhand comments, like, Josh saying, I looked at your LinkedIn profile and you need to update it. I mean, that's probably going to pay off in more connections on LinkedIn, which will then translate to more people that I'm in contact with, which will probably translate eventually to sponsorships, and so, sometimes it's just something little, something, that somebody just thinks about for 2 seconds. And that's the kind of thing that's going to make the big difference for you. And by having people who aren't afraid to tell you, what you've got sucks, so fix it, is also super valuable. So if there's anything that I can shout out about, it's basically having a mastermind group like this. And I guess this is a good time to also mention that we are opening up another group.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
But yeah, so if you want this kind of thing for you, then go to entreprogrammers.com/apply. Is that what it is?
Yep.
And
yeah,
we've got 2 in there right now.
I might have a third.
Okay, so once we hit 4, it's closed for a while. We'll spin up that group. So just if you want it, do it. Like we don't make money off of it. Like, I mean, we're charging, but it goes to the editing, and then hopefully someday we'll do a conference or events or something like that. But it's not. None of us are like, ooh, we just netted $100 a month off of, it's like that's not. Maybe at some point it could be, but at this point it's really just to give other people the opportunity and the future potential. So
yeah.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, that's the payoff, right? Is that these guys, they care about what I've got going on, and they care about me personally, and they're not afraid to, they're not going to try and sugarcoat anything. They're just going to tell me what I need to do to get where I want to go. And that's just so valuable. I mean, I've been in a mastermind group, just to kind of, belabor this point a little further, I guess, where we essentially met in person over lunch, and it just turned into a hangout around lunch. And nobody was willing to hold anyone else accountable because it was uncomfortable. And it's like, look, you know what? Sometimes I just need the tough love. And that's the real value in a mastermind group, is the, hey, look, I care about you enough to tell you that your LinkedIn profile sucks. Or, I care about you enough to tell you, you know what, you've got to end the pity party, make a plan, and get to work. And that's not necessarily what I want to hear. It doesn't make me get all warm and fuzzy inside, but that's what I need to hear.
So for my thought for the week, I will go with timing is everything. If you see the opportunity, and it is time limited opportunity, and it's something that could be beneficial for whatever your goal is, take the opportunity. It's not, you can't take every opportunity you come across, but if you keep your eyes open, if you know what your goals are and you see the opportunities, take it. Because it's a stupid little video game channel, but I had the opportunity yesterday to make that video that I just talked about, the reaction and breakdown of that trailer. I was like, oh, I could probably get 50 or 60 views out of this pretty quickly, because that's happened in the past when I've done trailer reaction info type videos, and so I decided to just get it done quickly and get it released as fast as possible, instead of really trying to polish it and make it look nice and everything. And it's been far and away my most successful video. Timing in business is similar. If you see opportunity, if you see the technology coming up, like my timing with Docker has been pretty good. I'm getting a lot of great opportunity with Docker. The big company that I talked about, that I'm potentially talking about with training, they found me through my JS Jabber podcast on Docker.
Yay!
The guy researched what I've been working on and what I've been writing, and reached out to me, and he's convinced that I'm the guy he wants to bring in. So hopefully he can convince his managers that the base price I gave him is something that they can pay, because it would be huge for me in a lot of different ways, not just the paycheck, but the company and the opportunity and everything else. So take the opportunities, and as long as that opportunity can roll you toward your goals, timing is everything.
I'm going to say my thought is know when to say no to opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's also very important.
So I think what Derek is actually, it dovetails. It sounds contradictory, but dovetails perfectly with what Derek's saying, because one of our real downfalls I would say this last couple of quarters has been jumping on small opportunities that weren't really related to our core goal.
Yep.
Our real goal is to launch this stupid book, right? And have it be a huge hit. But we keep getting these opportunities that kind of float by, and we're like, oh, well, that'll be easy. Let's just do that. So, like, for example, we had this guy email us, and he's got this huge Facebook page, right? It's like 300,000 software developers, called I Love Coding on Facebook. And so he's like, yeah, I'll publish something for you every day, and you pay me like $100 a month or some. It was like, I think it was ridiculous. And we were like, oh, okay, how hard is this? So I just went into Google Analytics and dumped out a list of our top 100 blog posts, and I said, all right, here, run these. Here's your $100. Run these, and we'll see if we like this and if we want to continue. And it went well for a couple of days, and then he emails us with his hair on fire. He's like, some of these blog posts are really outdated, and my people are complaining, and they're unsubscribing from my page, and so now I have to drop everything and go through this list of 100 links and evaluate. Okay, is this outdated? So now I have to go and screen all this content before I give it to him. And so this little 15-minute thing. Well, for one thing, it took John like 5 days to get. He's not U.S. based, so it took John like 5 days to get a payment account that we could use with this guy. Mm-hmm. And we're at the mastermind thing last week with Perry Marshall's thing, and John's like, Skrill, I hate you, Skrill, and they're wanting him to send utility bills, and it turns into this. It looks like a simple thing, and it turns into this huge mess, and it ended up being a distraction. Like, we've gotten a lot of good traffic out of it, and we'll probably continue to do it, but it's turned into like we're bleeding now from like all these little flesh wounds, and because we're probably going to implement, like, we're going to start to track what we're working on that's not related to the main goal, and then also be more disciplined about like not adding. We're going to have like basically a sprint where it's maybe 1 or 2 weeks, and we're not adding. We decide up front what we're going to work on, and we're not adding any stuff to this, because otherwise it's just too easy to say, yes, 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 yes to everything that comes up. So
Yeah, that's kind of a weird one because that's an example of what you're saying, but it actually did turn out well. Like it's worth the money and the effort, or I think over time, but it still did blow. Like even if some of those things don't turn out well, and then they still have
Yeah.
the same cost. So but yeah, knowing that it has that
this one's
extra
not a
cost.
disaster, but it ended up probably sapping. We thought it would be an hour, and it ended up sapping a good 20 hours at least of our time. So
yeah. Let's see. So my thought would be, yeah, I've been doing this a lot lately. Is to find experts that have done what you want to do and utilize them, the modeling after experts approach, hiring experts and taking small projects. So it's sort of a combined thing is this idea, and I've been having a lot of success with this year, is taking small projects and getting them done and finding an expert to get them done. And so it's done instead of having this little paper cut every day. Mm-hmm. So I did this with a few things this year. I've been like picking out personal projects or things that will, like just this week, like 2 things this week. One of them was meeting with the image consultant. It's like, okay, I'm thinking about this all the time, trying to figure this out, but I know I need to go buy new clothes, and like, am I going to buy one outfit here, buy a shirt, right? Or let's just find the expert, book the time, pay for it, get it all done at once, and then for the next few years, I don't have to worry about this thing. I don't get paper cuts every day on this. So that's the idea there. Was like, I found the expert, found the coach that's going to be able to provide me what I need. Bam, it's all done. I'll never have to worry about it again, essentially, right? It's like I've removed that, and so that's all taken care of. It took a lot of upfront time to figure it out, to plan it out, but once it's done, and then you can move on. And the same thing I've done with a few different projects this year, and then I have a list of them that I want to do as well. But the other aspect of this too was last weekend I set a new PR. I did a half marathon, and I set a new PR of like 1:53:11, which was like 4 minutes faster than my previous. But I was at max heart rate the entire time, and I basically did it by sheer will, like killing myself trying to do it. It was not a measure of my fitness level. It was a measure of my sheer, just like, I mean, I was pegged at max heart rate, whereas my Garmin said
let's be honest, he wanted to be his wife.
Okay, yes, that's the truth. But I beat her by 30 seconds. So, but
she beat his PR. So,
but yeah, exactly. So now it's So, but Josh pointed me to a book which I was kind of resistant, called Primal Endurance, and immediately, like, there's an expert who's done what I want to do, essentially, in this area, and their advice in there was with the training to keep your heart rate within the aerobic zone, which, I've been training intense. Like, my thought is, let's train as intense as possible, like run a whole bunch of miles and run them hard, and that will improve my fitness. But the actual approach that will be more effective is to keep in the aerobic zone. Like, for me, it's like 145 beats per minute, which sometimes on my runs means I have to walk, right? But to do that for a long enough time to build up a base, and then you eventually get to the point where you can run 8-minute miles at aerobic rate heart rates. And when you can do that, then if you run a half marathon, I could probably knock 10-15 minutes off of my half marathon time when I reach that level of aerobic. So what I was doing was actually working against me. All this training I've been doing because I'm not the expert, because I'm not relying on the expert, because I'm doing what I think. I'm putting in all this extra effort, where just a 2 millimeter shift, right? Finding the expert, finding the person that's already done it, can make the big difference. And I could have done the same thing with the image thing, like trying to figure out researching which stores to go to and clothes and all this stuff instead, right? So I think there's a huge benefit in figuring out if there's something that you're trying to do that is highly technical in nature, or can really benefit from leverage. Find the person that will give you the leverage and utilize that, and it's going to save you a shit ton of time. Even if it costs you money, it'll be worth it, because the time that will save you. So this is a lesson that I have to keep on having pounded in my head, but I've been seeing such good success with this that I'm going to remember this from now on, and try to make sure that I do that. So
Nice.
All right. We good here. Same time next week.
So. Yep.
Yep.
All right. I'll see you guys later.
See ya.
Alrighty. See ya.
Bye.